12 tractors bankrupting farmers dealers won't warn you. Farmers are outraged. The New Holland T7. 315 transmission failure slammed one owner with a $24,000 bill, wiping out an entire season's profit. The once reliable Kubota M8. 200, devastating farmers with $27,000 hydraulic system collapses. And the powerful Case IH Steiger 580 final drive breakdowns exceeding $33,000. These machines were built to feed nations, but they're destroying the very farmers who trusted them. And those three are just the tip of the iceberg. Here are 12 tractors dealers never warned you about. Number 12. Massey Ferguson 7S 180. The 7S 180 looks like everything you need in a utility powerhouse. 180 horsepower, Dyna 6 transmission, and that Massey Ferguson heritage reputation that convinced your cousin to buy two machines. The price tag fits perfectly between compact tractors and full agricultural workhorses. Here's where it gets nasty. The dual clutch assembly sits behind an inadequately ventilated housing that traps heat during continuous operation. By 900 hours, thermal cycling causes the pressure plate springs to lose their temper. The springs weaken in hot weather, making summer fieldwork a guaranteed point of failure. Add spring rains and muddy conditions, and you're staring at clutch slippage that destroys the flywheel faster than your payment grace period ends. One Tennessee farmer hit a $5,300 repair bill when his PTO engagement failed during hay baling season. Parts backordered 7 weeks because Massey ships clutch assemblies from their Brazilian facility on container ships. His custom hay contracts fell through, costing another $14,000 in lost income he had to explain to the bank. The next one will leave you stranded in the field with zero warning and even steeper repair costs. Number 11. Deutz-Fahr 9000 340 TTV. This machine promises effortless power with its continuously variable transmission and 340 horsepower that hauls like a locomotive. Dealers love demonstrating that glass-smooth TTV operation and the panoramic cab that makes 12-hour days feel manageable. What most buyers don't discover is the variator's hydraulic pump runs hotter than Deutz, calculated during their testing in moderate German climates. Around 1,400 hours, the pump's internal components start wearing beyond tolerance specifications. Pressure sensors in the TTV system can't identify the pump degradation until it's already critical. When it fails, it doesn't fade gradually. It explodes and destroys the entire transmission control valve assembly with it. A Pennsylvania grain operation lost their main tractor during corn planting when the transmission seized instantly, sheared the input shaft, and fractured the bell housing. Total damage, $20,500. Their insurance classified it as mechanical failure, not covered under their policy. The farm had to lease equipment at $350 per day for 7 weeks while waiting on parts from Germany. Number 10. Landini 7-190. Landini built their following on durability and value pricing. The 7-190 delivers 190 horsepower through their RoboShift transmission wrapped in a functional cab that gets the job done without luxury frills. European contractors trust these machines for their fuel economy and straightforward maintenance. Here's the catch. European emission standards don't account for American agricultural fuel quality. The common rail fuel system that controls everything from injection timing to exhaust regeneration uses pressure sensors calibrated for ultra-low sulfur diesel meeting EU specifications, not truck stop fuel with varying quality standards across rural America. The sensor housings corrode at different rates than the brass fittings they thread into. Galvanic corrosion starts at 700 hours when electrolysis attacks the dissimilar metals. First, you experience rough idling at startup. Then fuel pressure fluctuations appear randomly during peak load operations. The dealer diagnostics scanner shows sensor faults, but can't pinpoint which of the 12 fuel system sensors buried throughout the engine is failing. One Oklahoma wheat farmer spent $8,100 on fuel system diagnostics alone across 5 separate dealer visits. The tractor still dies during critical operations, and Landini technical support requires sending ECU modules to Italy for factory analysis. Even more dangerous, this next one deteriorates silently until catastrophic damage is irreversible. Number 9. AGCO White 8824. The 8824 promises the traction of an articulated frame with the maneuverability of a rigid tractor. 240 horsepower, 24 forward speeds, and a turning radius that navigates tight headlands while maintaining road speeds up to 26 miles per hour. The trouble starts internally. Those planetary final drives run on tapered roller bearings that can't be serviced without complete disassembly. AGCO Engineering claims the bearing preload stays constant, but metal fatigue works against them regardless, especially in high-impact conditions with loaded grain carts on rough terrain. The bearings wear, but the drivetrain keeps functioning until the carrier gears strip their case-hardened surfaces. When it collapses, you don't just lose mobility. Axle fragments destroy $13,000 worth of brake assemblies, and the failed planetaries contaminate expensive gear oil that ruins hydraulic pump seals. One Saskatchewan farmer faced $25,000 in combined repairs during harvest season. His crop insurance covered the standing grain damage from delayed harvest, but declared the drivetrain failure normal wear since the tractor completed the field under emergency power. Number 8. Valtra T234. Valtra's T234 delivers 240 horsepower with their Smart Touch armrest control that's supposed to simplify complex operations intuitively. The cab's loaded with Nordic comfort features and climate control that works in -40-degree conditions, plus automated implement control that promises consistent results. Here's where Finnish engineering fails American farming. The Smart Touch system relies on capacitive touch sensors that respond to skin contact like a smartphone screen. Those sensors work perfectly in Scandinavian conditions with operators wearing light gloves, but American farmers need heavy work gloves during most operations. The control panel can't distinguish between intentional inputs and accidental contact when heavy gloves press multiple sensors simultaneously. The system interprets random touches as legitimate commands. By 1,200 hours, the touch surface develops microscopic cracks from field vibration. Moisture penetrates those cracks and shorts out the entire armrest controller. When it fails, you lose access to hydraulic functions, PTO controls, and transmission management simultaneously. A Colorado potato farmer spent $9,200 on electronics troubleshooting when his implement controls activated randomly during planting operations. The tractor still ghosts phantom commands, and Valtra support requires video documentation of the failures, which occur unpredictably. Even more frustrating, this next tractor is trusted by progressive farmers nationwide and failing just as many. Number 7. McCormick X7 624. The X7 624 represents Italian agricultural passion. 240 horsepower, 6-cylinder power, and a chassis designed to handle the most demanding implements across challenging terrain without compromising stability. What McCormick doesn't publicize: the front axle uses a self-leveling suspension system that's supposed to maintain constant ground clearance automatically through electronically controlled air springs, but the height sensors corrode from fertilizer dust exposure. When salt-based fertilizer particles mix with morning dew, they create an electrolyte solution that attacks the aluminum sensor housings. Corrosion starts at 800 hours and progresses invisibly. Those failing sensors send incorrect height data to the suspension controller. The air springs cycle constantly trying to reach an impossible target height, overheating the compressor beyond its thermal protection limits. The burned-out compressor loses system pressure to all 4 air springs without warning indicators. Those deflated springs allow the axle to contact frame stops, creating impact loads that crack the cast steering knuckles at stress risers. A Georgia peanut operation faced $34,000 in front axle repairs at just 1,200 hours. The air springs alone cost $21,000, but the knuckle damage required certified NDT inspection that delayed repairs for 3 months. During that time, they missed their entire fall planting window. Number 6. Claas Axion 960. Claas's Axion 960 promises 445 horsepower through tracks that distribute weight over crops without causing compaction damage. The C-Matic CVT transmission is supposed to maintain optimal engine RPM across all speed ranges for maximum fuel efficiency. Here's the devastating reality. The diesel particulate filter regeneration system operates too aggressively to properly manage soot accumulation during extended low-load conditions common in livestock operations. Instead of programming longer regeneration intervals, Claas's solution was higher exhaust temperatures that carbonize engine oil residue in the turbocharger housing. This creates a compounding contamination cycle. Those chambers operate hotter and dirtier than designed. Carbon deposits restrict the variable geometry turbo vanes by 1,000 hours, limiting boost pressure and reducing power output. When vanes seize completely, you experience sudden loss of power and excessive black smoke that indicates incomplete combustion. The result? Damaged pistons that require complete short block replacement. One Minnesota dairy farmer encountered this failure during manure hauling with 400 acres of application remaining. The engine rebuild cost $31,000. Claas warranty covered components but not labor, or the contracted manure removal service at $280 per day that he paid while the tractor sat immobilized for 4 weeks. The next one advertises German precision but delivers financial catastrophes instead. Number 5. Fendt 828 Vario. The Fendt 828 Vario carries AGCO's reputation for premium quality, 280 horsepower, Vario transmission efficiency, and the sophisticated Variotronic TMS management system that coordinates all tractor functions through integrated electronics. But here's what AGCO conceals. The agricultural implementation uses CAN bus networks at constant communication in dusty environments with an electrical architecture borrowed from their industrial equipment division. The wire harnesses use automotive-grade connectors designed for sealed road conditions, not implement-mounted sensors exposed to soil, chemicals, and weather. The connector seals harden from temperature cycling. By 1,100 hours, microscopic gaps allow moisture penetration that corrodes copper terminals. Corroded connections create high-resistance paths that generate heat during current flow, accelerating seal deterioration in a progressive failure cascade. Overheated connectors eventually melt their housings, causing intermittent electrical faults that appear and disappear unpredictably. A Texas cotton operation lost their primary tractor this way during harvest when electrical gremlins shut down the engine randomly. Complete harness replacement hit $37,000. The damaged ECU modules couldn't be repaired domestically, so they absorbed the $6,800 international freight charges for factory refurbishment. Insurance covered nothing, classifying it as maintenance neglect for operating in dusty conditions the tractor was specifically marketed to handle. Want to know why dealers conceal these catastrophes? Subscribe now because number 4 will make you reconsider everything dealers promised about modern tractor reliability. Number 4. New Holland T7. 270 Auto Command, the $250,000 gamble. New Holland's T7. 270 Auto Command represents the evolution of intelligent farming. 270 horsepower, continuously variable transmission that adapts to conditions automatically, and IntelliSense control that promises to reduce operator fatigue during marathon days. Dealers market it as the thinking farmer's choice for mid-size operations. The reality bankrupts multi-generational farms. That intelligence depends on multiple radar sensors that monitor ground speed, wheel slip, implement draft, and engine load simultaneously to optimize performance. When road salt spray during winter transportation corrodes any sensor connector, it doesn't just disable that function. It feeds false data across the entire control network, causing catastrophic decision-making. One corrupted ground speed sensor can make the transmission select impossible ratios, the hitch control to raise implements at full depth, and the PTO to engage at unsafe speeds simultaneously. You experience seemingly unrelated failures that stem from one $230 sensor connector that's impossible to diagnose without factory-level diagnostic software, costing $12,000 annually. A Kansas family farm bought 3 T7, 270 seconds for $960,000 combined to modernize their 5,000-acre wheat operation. All 3 machines developed control system failures by 600 hours of operation. The first repair attempt cost $11,000 and resolved nothing because technicians treated symptoms instead of root causes. The second attempt replaced entire control modules for $26,000 per tractor. After 22 months and $73,000 in electrical repairs, all 3 tractors still shut down randomly during time-critical operations. The farm's equipment lender seized them as impaired collateral, and the farming operation dissolved after 97 years of continuous family ownership. Number 3. John Deere 8000, 345R. John Deere markets the 8345R as the solution to modern farming's complexity. 345 horsepower, 24-speed auto-power transmission, and Command View 3 cab that integrates precision ag technology seamlessly. Dealers love showcasing the 4,640 display and auto-track guidance that promises to maximize productivity while minimizing operator error. Here's what destroys profit margins. The 9 liters PowerTech PSS engine uses selective catalytic reduction with injection pressures exceeding 38,000 pounds per square inches for emissions compliance, higher than most hydraulic systems operate. Those extreme pressures demand DEF fluid purity that most farm bulk tanks can't guarantee, especially operations refilling from 275-gallon totes exposed to temperature cycling and atmospheric moisture. When crystallized DEF contamination reaches the precision SCR injector, it erodes the atomization nozzle and deposits on the catalyst substrate. Clogged injectors don't fail, obviously. They simply spray irregular patterns that create ammonia slip and incomplete NOx conversion. Those emissions faults trigger DEF consumption rates triple the normal specification. The engine keeps running but requires constant DEF refills over hundreds of hours, so you don't recognize the internal catalyst damage until check engine codes force a dealer visit. One Nebraska grain farm discovered this after their 8345R consumed 1,200 gallons of DEF in one season, versus the normal 400 gallons. 7 cylinders needed SCR system replacement, the entire exhaust after-treatment required catalyst renewal, and the DEF tank needed professional decontamination. Total bill, $44,000 for parts and labor. The crushing part, John Deere blamed contaminated DEF fluid and voided the entire emissions warranty. The farm had to finance repair costs on top of their existing $340,000 equipment loan, eliminating their operating capital for the next crop year. Even scarier, this next tractor appears completely conventional, but conceals a design deficiency that seriously injured operators. Number 2. Case IH Puma 240 CVX drive power without safety. The Puma 240 CVX drive delivers 240 horsepower through proven mechanical systems that return to simpler times. No overcomplicated electronics, no temperamental emissions equipment, no computer-managed everything, just reliable mechanical force that handles any implement without sophisticated failure modes. That mechanical straightforwardness masks a legitimately dangerous engineering oversight. The ROP structure uses mounting points originally engineered for the lighter Puma 185 platform in the 200 horsepower class. Under maximum load scenarios, the 240's substantially more powerful engine generates vibration amplitudes that exceed those mounting points' fatigue life calculations by considerable margins. The steel fatigues from constant stress cycling. The cab begins moving independently of the chassis, and the mounting fasteners progressively loosen. When ROPS mounts fail incrementally, the operator compartment can shift noticeably during operation. Pedals become misaligned with operator leg position. Windows no longer provide accurate sightlines to implement attachment points, and door mechanisms may not engage properly with their strikers. Emergency exit becomes impossible if the cab rotates enough to bind the door. One Idaho farmer experienced his cab rotating 18 degrees during a sharp turn while pulling a loaded manure spreader. The door wedged shut, trapping him inside with foot pedals that no longer corresponded to their intended functions. He had to shatter the rear windshield to escape when the steering wheel position shifted beyond safe operation. The repair demands complete cab removal and frame reinforcement to accept redesigned mounting hardware. Cost, $41,000. But the genuine cost is operator trust. Experienced hands refuse to operate equipment that might trap them during accident scenarios. And the most alarming part, Case IA acknowledges this mounting concern, but classifies it as normal service wear, requiring periodic torque verification, transferring responsibility to operators. But this final tractor is the most financially devastating of all, because it's also the most frequently financed. Number 1. John Deere 6M Series, the family farm destroyer. Walk any equipment dealership lot, and you'll see entire rows of green 6M tractors. 140 to 175 horsepower across multiple configurations, legendary field reliability, and that famous Deere resale value that makes agricultural lenders eager to approve financing. It's America's best-selling utility tractor family by volume. Here's why it's systematically bankrupting small farms across the entire grain belt. The 6M uses Deere's proprietary PowerQuad Plus transmission that shifts smoothly under load. The disaster lies in the Power Shuttle technology that enables seamless direction changes under working conditions. These shuttle clutches engage constantly during loader work, generating intense heat that degrades the hydraulic fluid faster than Deere's service bulletins acknowledge. The clutches overheat, carbonize their friction surfaces, and release contamination particles into the entire hydraulic circuit. That metallic debris plugs precision filters and scores expensive valve spools. When complete failure strikes, you need total transmission replacement. But here's the negligent part. Deere's electronic monitoring doesn't track shuttle clutch temperature. Your first indication is when the entire transmission seizes completely during fieldwork. An Ohio family farm purchased 4 6M tractors for $680,000 total. All 4 machines suffered complete transmission failures between 1,300 and 1,600 hours of use. Deere's warranty honored the first repair but classified the remaining 3 as operator abuse. The transmission replacements cost $74,000 combined. The family mortgaged their Century farm to finance repairs. When grain markets collapsed, they couldn't service both debts. The bank foreclosed on 650 acres that had sustained the family for 5 generations. Deere's response: they offered 6% financing on replacement 6M tractors. So there you have it. 12 tractors that dealers swore would build your operation, but instead they're draining bank accounts and destroying generational farms. Every single manufacturer knows about these failures. They have the internal data. They've seen the warranty claims pile up, but they keep selling these machines because the profit margins are too good to stop. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you own one of these tractors? Have you experienced any of these failures? Drop a comment below, and let's expose which dealerships are still pushing these problems onto unsuspecting farmers. If this video saved you from making a costly mistake, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this video with every farmer you know, because the only way we stop these manufacturers is by spreading the truth they don't want you to know. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe out there, and remember, the most expensive tractor is the one that doesn't work when you need it most.